Thank you. Thank you so much for this presentation and for these ideas, for this data. E agora vamos dar início ao painel dedicado a um dos temas mais desafiantes da atualidade. É a regulação da inteligência artificial numa perspectiva internacional. A inteligência artificial está a transformar economias, sociedades e instituições, mas esta transformação só será bem sucedida se for acompanhada por enquadramentos jurídicos e regulatórios que promovam a inovação sem deixar de proteger os direitos fundamentais, a democracia e a confiança dos cidadãos. Para esta conversa contamos com 3 convidados de exceção que irão partilhar connosco as suas visões sobre os principais desafios e oportunidades de uma regulação da inteligência artificial que seja ao mesmo tempo eficaz, ética e global. Para moderar este debate, Carlos Marçal, diretor de projetos especiais da Média Livre e Jornal de Negócios, e peço que me ajudem a dar as boas-vindas a Andrea Sanders Winter. É atualmente diretora do Departamento Digital do regulador alemão, acumula experiência em várias empresas alemãs e em áreas ministeriais, com destaque para a política europeia das TIC, coordenação internacional e participação ativa em 2 presidências alemãs do Conselho da União Europeia. Ahmed El Haghi, chefe da Divisão de Regulação e Ambiente de Mercado do Gabinete de Desenvolvimento da União Internacional das Telecomunicações, esteve ligado ao regulador egípcio das telecomunicações durante 18 anos e envolvido na concepção de reformas regulatórias transformadoras, incluindo a primeira estrutura do Egito para aterragens de cabos submarinos, liberalização do mercado móvel e fortalecimento da resiliência cibernética em mais de 100 países. Por último, Mário Hernández Ramos não pode estar fisicamente connosco, vai juntar-se a nós por via digital. É professor de Direito Constitucional na Universidade Complutense de Madrid, tem experiência governamental como assessor jurídico no Ministério da Justiça de Espanha, funções no Gabinete do Ministro, na Secretaria de Estado e na Direção-Geral de Cooperação Jurídica Internacional e Direitos Humanos. Falamos então de regulação de inteligência artificial, uma perspectiva internacional.
Obrigado,
Até já.
Patrícia. Bom dia. Good morning and welcome to our panel on AI regulation and international perspective. As we've seen in Audrey Plonk, AI is growing fast and this raises big questions, especially on the regulation area. How do we protect rights while supporting innovation? Who should regulate and how? We have with us 3 excellent speakers, and each with strong international experience. Let's dive into the discussion. We start with Andrea. From your German and European experience, what are the biggest challenges that regulators face when dealing with AI? And then I want to know a little bit of what is Germany's approach to the AI Act.
First of all, thanks for inviting me, for having me here. I think one of the biggest challenge we are currently faced with in Germany is to create efficient and lean structures. I think we have heard this morning from the Secretary of State that we should build up unbureaucratic, efficient processes. This is not easy in Germany because we are organized in a way where a lot of market surveillance authorities will deal with AI regulation. We have a lot of cross-cutting issues to implement. So the idea is to foster a structure that is concentrated on BNetzA, so that there is one single point of contact, that there is what we call one face to the customer, to the undertakings, one central role for BNetzA, so that's not easy. The second one, I think, is what we always call adaptive governance, because I think we are currently dealing with all the requirements of the AI Act, and I'm really a fan of the requirements that the EU has adopted. But as the AI sector is evolving in a very fast way, with a high speed, I think we have to consider how to ensure adaptive governance, meaning that we have to acknowledge all the developments that are currently ongoing. So this is something that we have to keep in mind while implementing the AI Act.
Thank you. Ahmed, what can be done to make sure that AI regulation does not create a digital dive between rich and poor countries?
Obrigado, Carlos, and bom dia. And apologies, this is the end of my Portuguese, so allow me to speak in English, please. First of all, thank you so much for ANACOM, Professor Sandra. Thank you so much for inviting ITU for this conference. Always pleasure to be here in Lisbon, and pleasure to share with you what we in ITU, as the global ICT UN agency working for AI and handling this kind of challenges for a divide. As just highlighted, the power for AI as a tool for improving our efficiency, our quality, reducing the cost is ultimate. It's very clear for the investments happening now. We just saw Audrey representing the huge development of investments in the AI infrastructures in many countries. And this coming from the huge power you can gain for the AI, which could create this kind of divide. And moving toward the intelligence era, giving us now new kind of divide beside the digital divide we already have, and SDGs struggling to achieve some sort of bridging this divide, we're having what we can call it now the AI divide. And we believe this could be happening in three main pillars. Data divide, where some governments, countries struggling to have their own data centers, national data, the ability of digitization on a wide scale, in a scale give them the chance to utilize the AI in a proper way that they can really add in value to their own economies. Recently, we witnessed this kind of huge increase in the electrical energy needed for power up such kind of data centers. Almost US, China, and Europe representing 85% of energy used for powering up the data centers, giving us the notion that still for developing country, they are far beyond. Having also algorithm divide, skills, talent, ability to have the models that serve your needs, serve your demands. And finally, having the computing divide. Supercomputers are available only in 30 nations. So this is giving us that 85% almost, or all nations missing one of the main pillar for AI infrastructure. Having that, these could be one of the most challenging divides we believe we have, and that's why in ITU we are working very closely through the AI for Good to help solve that. Back to you, Carlos.
We will go back to that point on the countries that have the power to create AI infrastructure. But I want to say hello to Mario. He's not with us today. Buenos dias, Mario. I would like to start asking you what are the hardest parts of putting the AI Act on the new Council of Europe rules in practice. We have no sound. And I think we miss it. So we move on. We will back to Mario later. Andrea, how can we ensure efficiency when creating new regulatory or institutional structures for AI?
Well, first of all, the idea of the German approach is to build upon on the structures that already exist when it comes to high risk and the bans of specific practices. Meaning, if there is any market surveying authority that is already dealing with medical devices, for example, we can use their expertise, and they should be responsible for the requirements of the AI Act. But within BNetzA, we will create a so-called coordination and competence center which is composed just of data scientists and computer scientists, and all the authorities that are not able to do this on their own, they could address BNetzA asking for advice. So they are taking the decision on the AI Act, but we are helping them with regard to the AI. Where no structures already exist when it comes to biometric identification, for example, or border management, etc., it's only BNetzA who's building up the expertise and who is taking the decision. So it's let's call a hybrid approach. And the second one, where we try to build up a new structure, is on the innovation part, because this is really important. It's the second pillar of the AI Act, and we are creating an innovation team within my department, who is dealing with all the regulatory sandboxes. We have created a help desk within BNetzA, where all the undertakings or authorities or associations can address BNetzA to ask questions, to get guidelines on specific areas, because the problem we are currently recognizing in the German market is, although we have the AI Act and the new rules, there is still some reluctance. And all those who are familiar with the AI Act know that we have more than 60 delegated acts, guidelines, implementing acts, and the industry is still, in particular, the small and medium-sized enterprises are still reluctant to implement, because they don't know whether their system is covered by the AI Act or not, or in which way. So they are looking for guidance, and this team is directly created to ensure this guidance.
We still have in Europe a large number of small and medium enterprises that they have not done yet their digital transition. So just moving into the AI is going to be very hard.
Yes. Within my department, we have one team who is dealing with the support of SMEs in the whole digital transformation process. And there we have allocated this help desk, and we are building up structures with different associations, all those who can address the undertakings directly, because it's not realistic that BNetzA is addressing single individual SMEs, but we are trying to multiplicate the information and to address most of the associations and AI trainers, digital centers that we have set up in Germany in order to spread all the information and to foster legal certainty on the AI Act.
Thank you so much. I don't know, Mario, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly now.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to ask you something else. That we're just moving on. According to the Council of Europe, how can human rights, democracy, and rule of law become real rules in AI?
Okay. Thank you, Carlos, for the question. Thank you to ANACOM for the invitation. I'm so sad I'm not there with you in person in Lisbon. So the question is very interesting, and since the fora, fortunately, is not full of lawyers, and there is more people like journalists and other intelligent people, human rights is not only a thing about law. I think to become real, the enjoyment of these principles and the human rights, we need to take a more horizontal approach, and the legal instruments like the Framework Convention on Human Rights of the Council of Europe or the AI regulation of the European Union are two regulatory pieces, very important ones. But then we need also to educate people. We need to bear in mind that artificial intelligence is a very important instrument to get important goals, but also there's important risk. So in doing that, and bearing in mind that human rights have these two sides, like we can use technology for good and for bad, we need to focus this challenge from many different perspectives, and we are very aware of that. And also, from the legal point of view, we need to bear in mind that artificial intelligence is an instrument that we can use for the fostering of these human rights, not only to stop using it or to condition the usage by public sector or by private sector, but we need to use it only also for fostering the enjoyment of this technology for the sake of enjoyment of the human rights. Yeah.
Thank you, Mario. Amit, we were talking about the number of countries who have the infrastructure to promote and produce AI is still a very small number, something about 32, 35 countries. In that matter, what should we do or what can be done to close this digital gap?
Thank you so much, Marcus. And I believe even Andrea just highlighted a very important component of the development needed for the governance, for the regulators, especially the ICT regulators. We have a very clear definition in ITU. We call it the regulatory tracker. It's sort of regulatory maturity model showing how regulators are improve, how develop their regulatory framework on their ability for achieving sustainable digital transformation, going from G1 to G5, from 5th generation, starting from a very basic monopoly market, looking for the regulatory framework that is enabling the digital transformation one. We believe having this kind of transformative technology, as we highlighted, is changing the boundaries of the market, the boundaries of societies. Even ILO and IMF specify 40% of jobs will be impacted by AI. The way of doing business of almost half of kind of jobs will be changed. 15% ILO stated in 1 decade will be automated. So those kind of impacts on our business and our market and our societies need a reaction from ICT regulators, digital regulator, to starting moving from the standard rule setting, overseeing of the market to what we call it proactive digital ecosystem builder. Applying 3 main pillars on their regulatory framework: innovation, fostering innovation, having their own tools, sandbox, policy labs is vital in AI era, in a technology where our majority of technology leaders saying every almost 6 months the AI doubled its computing power, its intelligence power. If your regulatory framework can't go to that speed, which is very challenging, I'm sure, not easy for all to follow, you have your ability to experimentation, having your innovation lab, having your ability to speed up to this kind of technological change. Second, capacities, capacity, skill up. Regulator should immediately apply a very specific program for their own staff and team, even hiring new and getting new talents in new areas, not normal for any kind of regulator, data scientist, AI expert. If you need to govern AI, you need AI. It's a certain equation mandatory. Third level, institutionalize collaboration. There will be a huge challenge for single regulator to govern AI. You have a need, you have the ability to collaborate with different stakeholders, cross-sectorial regulators, and not even government side, academia, industry, and civil society. AI governance model shouldn't be top-down, it should be co-regulate.
Let me just ask, do you think that regulating AI worldwide is going to be simpler or more difficult than telecoms?
Yeah. It's first of all the speed, the scale. The speed is very high, the scale is global. So even handling such kind of global application that you suddenly, as a policymaker, as a regulator, found yourself against new challenges every 3-4 months with a different kind of risks, different kind of regulatory and policy issues you need to implement, to react, reflecting that definitely it's more challenging. And definitely need more collaboration on a regional level, on a global level, to harmonize those kind of frameworks and regulation. Just highlighted this morning, Audrey representing almost a lot, thousands of frameworks. We also noticed that there is about 200 AI ethics framework highlighted in the last 2 years. This kind of, what we call it, fragmentation somehow in AI frameworks need more collaboration, more cooperation. Very recently, last August, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution to create the global scientific AI panel. We're having a set of experts to work together to put certain, to define a report to assessing the AI application risks, opportunities, and challenges, and also having what we call it the AI global dialogue for AI governance, which will be a certain level of forum, support this kind of harmonization and collaboration on a global level.
Okay, thank you. Again, Mario. From a constitutional law perspective, what are the main risks that AI brings to fundamental rights? And you are concerned on making sure that AI rules protect human autonomy, and why is that?
Yeah, human autonomy, I think, is one of the most important principles to bear in mind and to protect and to foster, because it's a principle, it's not like a subjective human rights. It's because of the nature of this technology. Artificial intelligence has the capacity to decide in an autonomous way. It depends on the level, of course, and it's a device that technology can self-learn. So we need to bear in mind that this technology deals the human being as we are, humans and individuals. So when we use artificial intelligence sometimes to make decisions, that decision is made without taking this individual point of view. It makes like clusters without any kind of individualizations, and that can be very problematic. It can be very problematic also from the democracy point of view, because the more you use artificial intelligence to ask questions or to inform yourself, the outcomes normally they lose the details of the information. So at the end, in the public opinion, the different point of views, these reach different perspectives that characterize the Western societies are lost. So we need to protect this unique perspective of the person. So we need to construct an atmosphere that allow the person to be the last person to decide their own way to form the political opinion, for instance, in the democratic point of view. And also it's important to bear in mind that using artificial intelligence, they use this enormous data set that sometimes in those data sets there are unequal information. So this is also a very important risk, generally speaking, and in this short answer, some of the risks that from the constitutional point of view we can just point out.
Thank you, Mario. Andrea, what are your considerations on using AI to tackle AI regulation?
I just wanted to interfere when
Okay.
you already said it. I think it's an important point. It's not only to ensure efficiency within a regulator, it's also the idea to regularly get used to AI systems by your own. You know, we are all familiar with ChatGPT, I guess, but it's different if you are regulating AI. So, and I guess we are all faced with budgetary constraints. In Germany, at least, we are. So we are considering with the ministry how many people we will get, whether we will get sufficient capacities, whether we will get money. But one idea to reduce that and to ensure efficiency is to use as much digital tools as possible. Of course, and that's what we're currently discussing, it's really difficult to regulate AI by an AI system, you know, because then it would be high risk to regulate high risk, and no one in this room would come up with the idea to let a cost model create by the regulated undertaking. So it's really difficult, but there is a lot of things to do with digital tools. So if it gets to the analysis of documentation, for example, or when it comes to the complaint management, all these things can be done supported by AI, and we are currently setting up a lot of things to help us regulating AI by AI tools. It's limited, not all can be done with this, but it can be really helpful to do this. And let me briefly react to the question whether it's more difficult to regulate AI than telecoms. I guess it is. I have been in telecoms regulation for 10 years, but the problem with AI is that it applies across sectors, and the requirements and all the specifications in the different sectors are different. If you are checking an AI system that is applied in, for example, with regard to connected cars, it's totally different than a system that is applicable in the health sector or in machinery. So it's really, really difficult, and this will be really a challenge for us to have the same requirements in a regulation, which causes different challenges in different sectors. So this is quite new for us, I guess, and we have to build up expertise, and that's again what you said. I'm really glad that we have hired already 5 years ago AI experts. When we started up with the digital department, we created, let's say, task forces dealing with digital technologies and digital expertise, and those 5 AI experts for now, until we get new stuff at the end of the parliamentary processes, are the basis. I'm dealing with all the AI regulation for now.
I think Mario wants to say something about it.
Yes, thank you. I completely agree. That is actually the challenge we faced when we were in the Committee of Artificial Intelligence in the Council of Europe negotiating and drafting the Framework Convention, because we were many countries from very different legal perspective and cultural and also economic interests. We have the European Union, of course, we have the United States, we have Canada, Japan, countries from Latin America, Australia, Israel. So you can imagine that the way of focusing the discussion were very different. But in the end, we end up in a framework convention. And also the European Union regulation, although it seems to be very, very long and very detailed regulation, is also a framework. Now we need to take more steps to regulate a specific sector by sector, according to these frameworks, because as you said, of course, there are different requirements. It's not the same in the health sector that in the army sector, in the LIA sector. So this is, we have just started doing this. And also, apart from regulation, now we are trying to develop some mechanisms and methodology in order to foresee how the artificial intelligence can impact on human rights. So we are now working very hard, and OECD also, and European Union also, on these impact assessment methodologies. Because even if you don't have, or even if you have, it doesn't matter, you have a legal framework before that legal framework, you need to see, you need to know how important is going, or what are the risks that this artificial intelligence you are going to apply or to design are going to face, or what are the problems that are going to rise according to human rights.
So, do we need the new legal frameworks that are strong enough to deal with AI? Do we need new ones, or what we have is good enough?
If you are asking me, definitely we need more, more detailed, more than the detailed, more specifically, according to the sector. It's not the same a legal norm for judges, for instance, than for policemen, than for administrative, for journalists, for instance. So the risk and the problems are very different. And also, it's not only a point of law, also ethics are very important. Code of conduct are very important. Education is very important. This, because it is a horizontal technology that affects many points, we need to take into account that we will need different weapons, not only the legal perspective.
So on that note, Ahmed, looking at this complexity across sectors, how can we make AI rules and standards more consistent worldwide?
First, I just wish to reflect something that just Andrea mentioned about the tools and technologies. And very recently, this September, in the Global Symposium of Regulators, one of the ITU main events, having a global gathering for regulatory authorities for ICT global-wise, we discussed a very interesting topic coming now, which we call it RegTech, under the theme of the using transformative technology, specifically AI, to empower regulators with a certain level of tool to enhance their regulatory excellence, regulatory compliance, efficiency, and transparency. We saw a very interesting tool of live monitoring for the spectrum. For me, it's like a magic. 5 years ago, it's like a magic. Having also a very interesting AI application for compliance, for even regulatory regulations, for have quality of service. It's a booming industry or booming business coming now as a sort of reflection for the needs for regulators to improve their own ability, their own capabilities in this time, and also utilizing this technology to achieving this kind of enhancing regulatory compliance. So going back, how we can globally working that. Very recently, ITU also published a sort of guide to support regulators to develop their regulatory framework. And we see, based on the global best practices in this regard, that we have a certain level of a roadmap that policymaker regulators should work on to develop, to enhance their regulatory framework and their policy framework regarding governance of the AI, starting having a clear national vision, awareness about the AI, setting the certain understanding also the stakeholder mapping, defining all the stakeholders on the national market working on the AI, doing your gap analysis, institutional gap analysis, legal gap analysis, understanding what I should develop in reaction of having this new power in place, and then start to draft, co-create, not top-down, your own strategy, having worldwide two main foundational tendency to have risk-based strategy for AI or right-based strategy for AI. Those are mainly the risk-based. Very common example is the EU Act for AI, the right-based one where you put more priority for privacy, transparency for the user rather than other aspects. So you can position yourself between this direction, risk-based or right-based, or even mixing between them, having a certain level of coordinational body on the national level that support this kind of creation, co-creation for this strategy, then going to assign a regulator, having a regulatory body that will work in the implementation of this strategy and having the national capacities, the national skills working in the AI governance, going for empowering tools for activating the governance, having your sandbox, your policy lab, risk assessment tools. Then two important factors, review process with this speedy technology, you know, they have a regular review for your implementation. You have to have your strategic foresight unit on a national wise to understanding what will be our strategic direction based on those technological development. And finally, collaboration, cooperation, engaging on the global dialogue in the AI governance, global dialogue in AI standardization development, understanding what is going on policy-wise, technology-wise. Those could be what we believe based on receiving or studying hundreds of frameworks global-wise, the main steps in those roadmap for harmonizing, for enabling you to manage this kind of AI governance.
Andrea, talking about collaboration worldwide, in Europe, why is it so hard still to work together at national, European and worldwide levels?
Well, on the national level, maybe it's a specific German problem because we have to create an ecosystem which is not only composed of associations, academics, etc. We have to involve a variety of authorities. It's not only the federal level, it's also the regional level, because our data protection authorities and the market surveillance authority, we have more than 300 market surveillance authorities in Germany. We have 17 data protection authorities. So this is, let's say, a real challenge. What we try to do is to create so-called dialogue groups with BINETSA and one coordinating authority who's building up the expertise. For example, if there are 17 different data protection authorities, to be honest, I don't want to negotiate with 17 different authorities. This is hard stuff. So it would be really helpful to have one coordinating authority who's building a specific AI expertise and who is dealing with this on behalf of the 16 others. This facilitates my life, and it's easier to and faster to get to any result. On the European level, I think it's really crucial because I have worked on the European coordination for quite some time, but I think the level of coordination is stronger than in telecoms, for example, because we are dealing with horizontal regulations. So the interpretation of a specific article needs to be the same. You know, it's different when you're applying directives because you have more flexibility when implementing that on your national level. And it doesn't make any sense that, for example, ANACOM is interpreting any article of the AI Act differently from BINETSA. This is creating legal uncertainty for undertakings for the market. That's not what we should have in mind.
Gray areas.
Yes, that's why the level for coordination on the EU level is really important and crucial. What will help, and this answers a bit your question whether we should add sector-specific regulation. I'm not convinced that we should go for further sector-specific rules, but what might help is the regulatory sandboxes. And BINETSA is creating or establishing a regulatory sandbox for further AI systems. And if we create a system where the countries are dealing with different sectors, this might help as, let's say, as a shared workload. So if for example, Portugal is setting a specific sector focus on a sector, this might be applicable in Germany as well. So I think we have to go for a shared workload and then for a good implementation of the AI Act before we come up with further sector-specific regulation on the EU level.
Thank you. I'm going to ask now the same question for the three of you. We're almost at the end of the panel, and I want to open some questions to the floor. So, what's the one thing policy makers should focus right now? And I'll start with Ahmed, please.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't get your name.
The one thing policy makers should focus right now on AI.
I believe I will talk from a global perspective from us in ITU. We are now focusing on a very challenging perspective. As I highlighted, we have this kind of regulatory development for worldwide. We still have what we call it 30% of our nations still between the first and the second generation of regulations, which is a very limited competition, very limited free market dynamics applied there, with missing a lot related even supporting the sustainable digital transformation and definitely adopting such kind of technologies. We believe we focus our support, our development in ITU, helping those regulators to adopt to moving forward, especially having this kind of speedy development of the AI applications. So ITU-wise, we are looking for supporting this kind of regulator, at least if there is challenges even to improve their basic telecom tools, giving them the tools to adopt within this intelligence era coming, and they will be impacted by all means, and trying to help that the AI divide not increase, not widen the digital divide.
Thank you. Mario?
That's a very good question, actually. Maybe I'm biased because I'm a professor, but I think one of the most important things now they need to do is to foster the literacy on artificial intelligence. I think everybody should know what is artificial intelligence, but what is in real. It's not like, what is ChatGPT? It's not that somebody is behind answering questions. It's just a technology. There's nothing behind. There's only methods of mathematics. The answer could be right, it could be wrong. What are the problems? What are the risks? What are also the benefits of using artificial intelligence? So when we have all the people educated in the true meaning of artificial intelligence, then we can use it and we can answer better to the regulation. Because if we don't really know that artificial intelligence is not like an instrument, a magic instrument, or a magic, or something like, for instance, these problems with the kids talking to the artificial intelligence and believing all the advices that the ChatGPT is giving them to behave or how to act. That is very important. And law sometimes is, it's just an instrument, as I told you. So if I had to choose one aspect, is literacy, artificial intelligence.
Thank you. Thank you, Mario. Now, short. Please.
You asked for one thing, and with regard to the policymakers, let me answer two things. The first one is speed, because the AI Act is created to go for trustworthy AI in the EU. So we need all the structures in the member states. We need the same requirements in all member states. So if you look at the authorities, they are all lagging behind. We don't have time to lose. So speed, and the second is adaptation. So the member states, the policymakers, they should be involved on international level, on the EU level, in order to take into account all the developments when it comes to AI, because maybe in 1 year, in 2 years, in 3 years, we need specific adaptations, no new rules, but with all the implementing acts and the guidelines, we need to be adaptive in order to keep pace.
Thank you. And on that note, vou abrir agora aqui para questões, se alguém da plateia quiser fazer 1 ou 2 perguntas rápidas, por favor. Do we have any questions?
One question, please. You are talking about AI in general. My question is very simple. On regulators that you are you using, for example, or do you have or are you planning to have data engineers or data architects and also data scientists that will speed up the production of regulatory? Do you already have that today? Because I think that just thinking about cooperation between our organizations and so on, normally we say we learn when we do it, and I'm wondering if you already have the data that you produce, and then using probably not LLMs, but SLMs to produce new regulatory frameworks.
Okay, that question is for which of the panelists?
Any.
Okay. So, who wants to?
If may I just highlighted that even for us in ITU, we put this requirement, having scale up and enhancing the institutional capacity for regulators as a vital component in their own development of their governance model to adopt for AI. The answer definitely is yes, and not even data science. We believe having also foresighting and even AI expert, it's a vital component. Even in our benchmarks, as a global agency working to support membership or supporting governments to understanding their level of development, we have this kind of implementation as a way of benchmarking their development, their improvement in area of AI governance.
Do we have time for one more? But it has to be really short. No? Well, on that note, yes? Really short, please.
Very fast. So basically, we all agree that we need better coordination between all the regulators across Europe. But the question is, if the priority should not be have a coordination across the regulators across the world, because the question is very simple. To which extent are we going to, in Europe, compete with China or the other countries that literally are not on our side of the bench? Because that's the problem that we have. How can we compete against those countries that ignore what we're discussing here?
Thank you. I think Mario wants to reply to that one.
I don't know if I want, because it's very difficult. But yes, that's one of the things. The point here is in which way we want to regulate. If we want to regulate from the democracy and human rights point of view, it's difficult to dialogue with other legal traditions. I put it in those words. But of course, we need to reach certain agreements, and they are not easy because we have different views and different perspectives and philosophical perspectives.
Well, thank you. We run out of time. Thank you so much to the speakers, to this discussion, and we just close the panel. Thank you so much. Muito obrigado a todos.
Thank you.
Thank you. Muito obrigado.
Muito obrigada a todos. E agora é tempo de fazermos uma pausa. Vamos fazer uma pausa para um coffee break, cerca de 30 minutos. Conto com todos às 11h45, pontualmente. É um horário de televisão, às 11h45. E queria dizer-vos que, junto ao espaço do coffee break, vamos poder assistir à exibição de vários projetos nacionais relacionados com a inteligência artificial. Até já.
Yes, sir.